combo, I don't believe, but they're pretty good combo. Hello there, Wild for the Outdoors. This is T-Mac. I'm going to share some tips with you today on blood trails. I've been lucky enough to be on many blood trails, and the best thing you can use to help you blood trail a deer is experience. Nothing beats good old-fashioned experience. My dad took me out on blood trails when I was, that high, and I've been on blood trails all my life. Every hunting season, it seems like at least once, my dad would get us out there. He'd be having trouble finding the deer, and he'd get me out there to help him. So, experience is going to be key. Now, there's different types of blood trails. When you put your bow or your arrow or a bullet through the cavity of a deer, that mortal wound should bleed. Depending on the blood, this is going to tell you what to do. First of all, after you shoot the animal, sit back and wait 15 minutes if you can. Let your mind, unless that deer just drops right in its tracks, if it runs off, sit down, relax, and play things over in your mind so you get a good idea of what happened. You'll be surprised how much that helps. Now, let's say it's with a bow. When you get down there, find your arrow. That's the most important thing. If you can't find your arrow, find the spot where you shot the animal. That's what's going to tell you what to do next. If you find gut material either on the ground or on the arrow, back out. Maybe the angle was a steep angle and you're still going to get some blood, or get up in the vitals. Unless you've heard that deer fall, give them a little bit of time. You don't want to push an animal, because most of the time, if it's a deep gut shot, they're burning up inside, and a lot of times they'll go to the nearest water source and lay down, or maybe you just go 150 yards and lay down, and they're just going to lay there unless you push them. You push them, they're liable to go and go and go. But if you see a trail and that blood is leading along that trail, most of the time, a mortally hit deer will stay on the path of least resistance. They're just going to be going, trying to get away. And a lot of times, they run until they're dead. Now, there are exceptions to every rule, and every blood trail is different. If you got an arrow, and you've got the arrow, smell it. Okay, blood has a distinct smell. And so does gut. So you'll know, if not by looking, by smelling, what's going on. Now, to say the deer takes the arrow with it, and now you're on a trailing job, not really knowing, look at the blood. Artery blood is a deep red. And a lot of times, if you hit a main artery, it is just going to be spurting out as high as the hole is, down. On this blood trail right here I'm showing you, it was waist high, 2-3 foot wide in some spots. That deer probably going to run out of blood pretty quick. You still want to give him a little time. Now on this blood trail, you can see it's bright pink. Pink blood is lung blood because it's part of the lungs in there. The lungs are a really bright pink inside the animal. It's going to have air bubbles because that's what your lungs do, in and out, air. And a lot of times it frosts out of the mouth, and that's going to be really aerated. That's good. You're probably going to have your animal within 50 yards, 50, 60 yards. Now, if you can't tell where you hit it, you don't remember where you hit it, you sit there and you can't figure things out, you get on the blood, and maybe it's a up high shot and it has to run all the way down the side to drip on the ground. When you're doing your blood trail, bring some toilet paper for the obvious reason, of course. I always have some. But make you a line on that blood trail about eye level, so you can turn around and see where you've gone and get your bearings as far as where this animal looks like it's going. That's going to help you. Now, I use toilet paper because it's bright white, easy to see, and the cheap stuff goes away quick. It turns back into earth in no time. So you ain't got to go back and get it. If you're using plastic or whatever, you got to go back and get it. Well, you should go back and get it. Now, when you find that last place of blood and you mark it, because you don't want to go more than 10-20 yards without finding blood, and then return back to where you last found it. Get your bearings. Now this is the last place that I found blood. I've been 20 yards forward and couldn't find any. I'm going to go back 10 yards and do a circle. 10-20 yard circle. Looking for blood, because if that deer cuts back from this point and I just stop here at the last blood and do a circle, I can miss it. Backtrack a little ways, then do your circle. If you don't find nothing, go out farther and keep doing that. You want to stay reasonably within sight of your toilet paper line, but you want to keep making that circle out wider and wider. And I've come across blood 50, 60 yards down and gotten back on the trails. But that's a good tip to help you out. And if all else fails, go find somebody. Go get somebody. Get some help. A lot of times, maybe you just aren't missing it. But the only bad part is the more people stomping around, the more chance you got of contaminating the blood trail. Blood runs out, you got to go to tracking. Tracking is a whole different skill and a whole different video, that's for sure. But use these things. Stop and replay the event in your head until you'll be surprised how the more you sit there and play it back, the better you get at remembering what happened. 2, mark your blood trail as you go. Smell your arrow, find your arrow, look at the arrow, and decide from the shot placement, and you got to take everything into consideration. The shot placement, elevation, distance, everything. Take everything into consideration and find in your head where you shot that deer as best you can. Use all these things, and then if all else fails, go back 10 yards and circle until you find it. Use these tips, and remember, nothing beats experience. Get out there, help somebody track a deer, or you young fellas, if your dad's shot one and having trouble finding it, go out with him, get some eyes on the blood, and it'll make you a better tracker when it comes to blood trails. Because our job, if we kill it, we must find it. If y'all have lost deer, I've lost deer, it hurts inside. You want to find them so bad, it hurts you inside. So always do this. Just do as much as you can to find your deer. Go back day after day if it takes it. As hunters, it's our duty to shoot these animals and find them. And I know sometimes you don't, and that stuff happens. There's not much we can do about it. But if we put all our energy and all our effort into finding that animal, we've done all we can do. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps you in some way. Get out there, create some blood trails. Love y'all. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Wild for the Outdoors. Check us out around the cabin. That's www.aroundthecabin.com. Check the campfire for listings of our live show.